Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is yours truly, Stuart Andrew Alexander. And I'm back again with another very interesting impact-making guest. His name is Fred Ball. No, he doesn't have anything to do with football. Trust me, absolutely nothing to do with that. But we're going to hear from Fred in just a moment. He has a technology project that will be a practical and better energy source than anything that is used today. Now, think about that for a moment. This new energy will fuel the economy with a new industrial revolution. It will elevate the lifestyles of billions currently without access to electricity worldwide, while completely eliminating all man-made emissions into the atmosphere. And he's here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about some of the problems and some of the obstacles and even some of the misconceptions and possibly even some of the pitfalls surrounding the people he loves to help the most. So, without that said, let's introduce him onto the show, Fred Ball. Fred, are you there, my friend?
Yes, Stuart. Hi. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome, Fred, and I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you've got lots of things on your plate, so just really want to make a point of saying thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, you're welcome too. So, with that said, Fred, let's just set the tone for the rest of the show. Who is it that you work with? Who's your perfect prospect? Or in other words, who do you help?
Well, there are two. Who we help and who we want to work with are kind of different people. We're going to help businesses and homeowners and business owners and factories by providing them a new technology that works better than fossil fuel or nuclear power generation, more reliably, and with the key aspect a lot of people key in on is there's no emissions into the atmosphere, which people, many scientists believe cause climate change. There are some that don't believe that, but this technology will solve their problem regardless if you believe in it or not.
Okay, so can you just dig a little bit deeper into those three different categories of people that you help?
Well, our vision is that for a homeowner, that you would have a small solar panel or a wind turbine mounted on you if you're in a suburban setting on your house, and you would be able to charge a battery inside your home, much like current solar and wind power can do today. Our technology runs off of a battery inside your home and generates electricity for use in your home. We anticipate that the technology will generate enough electricity to allow a homeowner to be independent of the grid, no longer needing power lines and the infrastructure to run electricity from a distant plant to your home.
So, Fred, I mean, it's really commendable what you're talking about here, but I just must, the very first obstacle that comes up into my mind is you're challenging the status quo. You're challenging decades and decades of fossil fuel energy, fossil fuel technology. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you come across that's preventing the people that you help the most from even considering some of the solutions that you're talking about today? Well,
it's true that man has for a long, long time relied on heat, thermodynamics. The first caveman that was able to harness fire, they discovered it was good and a good thing to have around. And we're not challenging thermodynamics so much, other than we're saying there is something better out there, and it does not involve using heat or differentials in pressure to make work. And that is the biggest obstacle a lot of people have in trying to conceptualize what we have, because the world has for so long only been able to generate power with thermodynamics, and that thermodynamics is the use of heat translating it into kinetic energy, motion or work. So, and people have long studied the laws of conservation of energy, which is about how thermodynamic systems enjoy losses throughout the process, so that your end result is always less than what you started with. And because so much is lost in the process, in unusable transfer of energy, heat, friction, etc. So the obstacle is getting people to think outside of the laws of thermodynamics and transferring of heat. And it's very difficult because people have not been able to think of anything else. But our scientists and engineers have, and that's the big difference, and we can prove it. So we are looking for a partner either with the existing engineering infrastructure, which could be a manufacturer in some other industry or related industry to ours, or someone with financial means who would be willing to work with us to set up the infrastructure needed to build this technology.
Let's imagine there are some manufacturing or engineering firms or even possible financial partners or joint venture partnerships that are listening to this show right now, Fred. Could you just dig a little bit deeper into how you plan on overcoming some of those common obstacles that you just spoke about?
The biggest thing is we need someone who to think with an open mind, but not without critical thinking. We want them to challenge the status quo, if you will, and be open to something different that they've never heard of before. That's the first thing. If you come into the discussion, which we have with many people who want to argue only for the point of proving themselves right rather than understanding. So we are struggling to meet the right person who comes into the equation with an open mind. And we now have just recently published experimental verification of our technology, and we're hoping now that allows people to think beyond that we're some type of scam or we're ignorant or we just have missed the fatal flaw, and it would be easily discovered by someone who's a lot smarter than us. But so we need someone who can who's a visionary, I guess, who is willing to take the small risk of looking further into what we have, and once they do that, they won't be disappointed.
Right. So let's just discuss some of the popular misconceptions that you've come across while you've been working in this industry, Fred. Now, for anybody who's listening to the show and they're interested in bettering the way how the world creates and distributes and consumes its energy, please just address a few of those popular misconceptions that you come across on a regular basis.
The biggest misconception, as we spoke about earlier, is that they don't think that our technology is possible because no one's thought of it before us, which is kind of it's a difficult challenge to overcome. Another misconception is that thermodynamics, again, is the only way to generate work, and we can show that it's not. Those are the largest misconceptions that we have to deal with. I guess the other thing is that there's some ulterior motive to our effort, that we're trying to trick someone, or we're trying, I don't know what, there's a whole realm of possibilities. And since there are other people out there who make similar claims to ours that don't have anything that can be proven or verified, we tend to get lumped in with this class of people. Some of them are doing it intentionally. Some are just misguided dreamers, I guess. But it adds to the realm of misconceptions about us.
So you'd mentioned that some of them may be doing that intentionally. Could you just expand a little bit on that? And let's just crush some of these misconceptions right away while we have got this opportunity.
Well, I mean, you can go on the internet and Google like energy devices, and there's a whole list of things will come up where they want you to pay for plans for a generator that you can get off the grid with. There's even even large companies have a like Tesla's Powerwall, for example, in the marketing campaign talks about that you can get off the grid with this battery, and it's true, but not in the way that they market it. You would need a whole lot of batteries at a lot higher expense than they really tell you to go off the grid with just a battery alone. And we don't feel that's the solution, but our technology would work with a battery like Tesla's and would enable a homeowner to go off the grid in real life scenarios.
So I get a sense, Fred, that you're almost like pushing a rock up a hill in what you're trying to achieve. Is that somewhat accurate, or just how far are you down the line in terms of this technology? Is it ready for market? Is it something you're still developing? I mean, what's the current situation there, Fred?
Well, we've proven the basic concept of the technology in a valid scientific experiment, and the next step we thought was to prove that the process is linear, meaning you can get more out of it than our first experiment. Our first experiment was done under normal gravity conditions, 1G. Our technology works better under multiple G forces. So we wanted to do a test where we would put the technology under multiple G forces, and thereby creating a much more dramatic result than you get with under 1G. We tried a Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign this past summer and failed to generate the all or nothing level of funding. So we are back to looking for grants or private venture capital or manufacturing partnerships. But we are prepared to build a fully functional prototype generator, and that takes engineering time, and engineering time costs money. So that is our largest obstacle, and a lot of the technology that goes into our product is not anything new. But what's new is how we use existing processes in a new way to combine to produce a different end result. There are a few technologies that don't exist anywhere else, and that's where we have never built one before. There will be some trial and error in getting all the systems to work together the way we need them to. It's not insurmountable, but it takes some time and expertise from various engineering backgrounds, materials, electrical, computer software. All these have to be combined together and to build a new device that has never existed before, using physics that a lot of people presumed had no value other than what they know it for today. So, but we anticipate that once we had a staff of engineers that could work with us, we would have a fully functional prototype in a year to 2 years. And from there, we would use that functional prototype to discover other areas for improvement. And our goal is to build 350 functional prototypes and get them pretty darn close to what would end up in someone's home. But we were going to take those 350 and go out and install them in real-world applications and generate electricity with solar and with wind, and learn what needs to be changed before we start tooling for manufacturing. And then by year 5, we hope that we're gearing up to manufacture these with partners, for a large distribution.
Okay. So, Fred, what I'd really like to do now, because this topic tends to be That's a little bit technical. The layman, the average guy on the street would say, "Oh, it's just a dry topic. I don't understand it. All this scientific stuff." Okay, I'd just like to look into Fred Ball. What do you actually get from this, Fred? When you put your head on your pillow last thing at night, what's going on in your mind? Why, what really drives you about this project?
I'll start off by telling you why I got involved. A friend of mine who's very technical person who's built race car engines and top fuel dragster type engines and held some world records with his non-sponsored race teams and was able to do it very well because of his expertise in getting more efficiency and more power out of things that other people couldn't. So he told me about this idea and this energy project and that he was going to give them some money to advance it. And I'm like, oh, it must be like people think of me today. It must be a scam. There must be some trick or whatever. So I went down to talk him out of doing this. And instead, once I started looking at what they had, I realized, wow, this is not a scam. This is legitimate. I need to be involved. So instead of talking him out of it, I got involved. And over some time, I became much more involved, and I became more of the spokesperson for the technology, coming from a sales and marketing background. I'm not the inventor per se or the engineer at all. I'm more the spokesperson and the face of the company. And so what do I think about at night? It's frustrating hearing on the news and the media everyone concerned about climate change and pollution in the air and all, and on and on. Everyone thinking that we need to do something and they need to pass laws to force people to change. And what's frustrating is knowing that we have a potential answer to this problem, and it's like amazing that we thought to be the world's easiest thing to sell to somebody, and it's actually one of the most difficult things. It's so different from any solution that someone can think of. It's new, and people resist change, and they resisted with a lot of effort. So
yeah, that must be really frustrating if you have something that can help, that can solve problems, can change people's lives, and as you said, better how the world creates, distributes, and consumes energy, especially with it being so much spotlighted in the media on a regular basis. So I can only begin to imagine your frustration, and I'm so glad that you shared a little bit of your personal side, because like I said, it can be a bit of a dry topic for somebody, it's just the average guy on the street who doesn't understand much of this, but it does have an effect on literally everybody, right?
Definitely. Helping people in industrialized nations will be satisfying, but there's one thing beyond that, and there's 20% of the world's population is without access to electricity today, and they basically cook on open cooking fires, inhaling the smoke and fumes and things, and they die. Many, I think the World Bank recently said there's several million people die a year from inhaling, from respiratory problems from inhaling the cooking smoke, and it's like it's unnecessary. Why are we allowing this to happen? And well, the answer to why we're allowing it is it's very expensive to run power lines out to remote areas, and solar and wind today just can't compete against fossil fuel because they're intermittent. It might be good for lighting a few light bulbs in a village or charging a cell phone or something, but you can't improve the lifestyle of people in these remote areas. And today, we don't have a solution for it, even though people like to think that, solar and wind can do that. But solar and wind alone won't do it. So the frustrating part is knowing that people are dying because people won't listen to what we have. And anyway, I'm so determined to change that I just I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep trying and trying and trying until I finally reach someone who has the means to work with us, and we can change the world.
I just hope that this show is going to play a role in you achieving that goal. It's a commendable goal. It's a necessary goal. So that is something to really think about. And I really hope that this show is going to help get the word out for you, provide a resource for the partners that you're looking for. So while we're on that topic of the manufacturing and the engineering firms that you would love to work with and financial partners and possible joint venture partners, if they listen to this, then, Fred, what are some of the pitfalls that they should consider when they're thinking about, getting involved in bettering how the world creates its energy and consumes and distributes its energy? Can you just talk about that briefly, please?
Well, pitfalls. I mean, we are worried about partnering with the right person. I mean, because this is a technology that has never existed before, it's very difficult to say, give us this amount of money and we will guarantee that after that money is spent, there will be a product. We don't know that for sure. So the person who we partner with, I don't want to say has to have deep pockets, but has to want to have the resources necessary so when we discover a roadblock or a challenge, that it's not the end of the road and the end of the project, that we will work together to overcome it the best way we can. So we've met a lot of people who would like to work with us, but they're not the right person because it's not an endless deep pocket. But conversely, I don't want to scare someone away saying that this is going to be an extraordinarily expensive, long, drawn-out process either.
You're just being realistic at the end of the day, right? Yeah.
Yes, so people ask, well, why don't you just build a prototype? Well, in your garage. Well, it's like asking someone, well, why don't you just build a jet engine in your garage? Because there's a lot of, if a jet engine had never been built before, you don't just throw it together with things you find around your garage. There's a lot of precision engineering and things that go into it. Our technology is probably as technical as building a jet engine. And then maybe one advantage that we don't have to deal with is the accommodation for heat, as in a jet engine is.
Okay, so for the people that you're most interested in helping and working together with, what about those that have this misconception or this belief that they must wait until it's absolutely proven by others? What do you have to say to those people?
Well, most people are not visionaries and will wait for someone else to do the hard part for them. So we need to find someone out there who has vision, has the resources, has the desire to change the world. Once we have something, it'll be everyone will want to get involved, and it'll be safe to get involved. So we're looking for someone who's a risk taker, perhaps someone who wants to make an impact to the world and is willing to take the small amount of risk involved. And the only risk right now is to talk to us and let us explain what we have and why it works. If at any point they feel they need to walk away, they're free to do so. The risk was, some time that they spent in talking with us. But so far, any person who has spent the proper amount of time with us to understand what we have has ended up working with us, not walking away. So
excellent.
I just need to reach the right person and have them not be afraid. They'll ask one of their coworkers, "What do you think of this?" And the coworker might say, "Oh, that violates the conservation of energy. That's a scam. That's perpetual motion. That's all these different things that it is not," and it scares them away. They don't want to be embarrassed or humiliated for even talking to some crazy people who have an idea that it's not just a little better thing. When it works, it's going to change everything. So that ups the ante a little bit, and people are scared because the potential is so large that they can't imagine that it could be possible.
So talking about some of their fears then, Fred, I mean, what would be, let's say, the biggest fear? Because obviously there's going to be more than one. There's probably a whole bunch of fears that a potential joint venture partner or somebody who's interested in investing in your project would have. But what would you say is the biggest fear that these group of people would actually have about making that step to work together with you?
Well, the biggest fear, again, it's peer pressure, if you will. If you work for a large manufacturing company and you're an engineer there, let's say, and you take a look at what we have and you go to your boss and say, hey, I was looking into this thing. What do you think? And, the fear people have is that the boss is going to say to them, think less of you because you had the nerve to question the status quo, to look at something that obviously won't work. That's impossible because of the laws of thermodynamics, and there's a whole litany of reasons why people are afraid to talk to us, and that's why once it's proven, then they'll all change their tune. But people are afraid to be the person that stands out from the crowd and challenges the status quo. There aren't that many people who everyone likes to say that they are the person who, they're open-minded and they're critical thinkers and all this. But when it comes down to it, very few people really are. People embrace the way things are and can't imagine change. So we need one person. We need the one right person who's not afraid to take a stand and take a look at what we have.
All right. So, Fred, let's talk about that one person for a moment. Beyond the potential financial gains of being involved in such a project, why would they want to even get involved in something? I mean, let's not talk about the money side. That's obvious because there's going to be huge financial gains for all involved. But what about some of the emotional reasons? Why would they want to get involved and achieve this outcome?
Well, I'd like to be involved in a project that is going to be remembered long after I'm gone as being something good and having a lasting positive impact. The opportunity to do that doesn't come around that often. There are a lot of I don't want to diminish smaller efforts to help other people, but the ultimate self-actualization, I guess, is to be able to do something that will impact the world today and for generations to come. If you have that after all your financial needs and all your other, the hierarchy of needs are met, there's that one thing left that a lot of high net worth people, they're trying to achieve. One thing that they haven't been able to do is to leave a legacy, if you will, of their time on Earth. What did they do to help mankind beyond the small amount of time that they're here? And this is, we believe, an opportunity to do that for us. That's what drives me every day, is knowing that, yes, there'll be financial gain, but at the end of the day, does that matter?
What you really spoke about there were the emotional reasons for wanting to get involved with your company and this project. What would be a logical reason for manufacturing and engineering firms, financial partners or joint venture partners to get involved in this project?
Yeah, logically, someday someone's going to get involved with us. And now, if you're in a line of business, is it your competitor that's involved with us? Then you are behind the eight ball, and you are going to be left behind. So, from a logical point of view, any business that is forward thinking and wants to be ahead of the curve, they would logically want to know if our project is legitimate or not. And the only way they can do that is not by looking at our website or just discussing it in the office without knowing more about it than we can publish publicly. Then they need to talk to us. And then if they continue to like what they hear, logically it would be the right thing to do, because they will now be the industry leader in whatever industry they are in. And to not do that, eventually, they feel the safe thing is to wait for someone else to take the lead, but and follow the leader. But a firm that wants to be the leader needs to talk to us today.
I think this is a good point now, Fred, to talk about the solution, the project that you're working on, the technology that the company that you represent has created. Could you go into a little bit more depth about what is this solution that you've been speaking about today?
Okay, yeah. I'll try to keep the discussion non-technical,
yes, please.
which won't please engineers, because I'll use a word that is not exactly the scientific proper word. So anyone in the audience who's an engineer type, please don't worry that this is a layman's explanation and not meant as for technical and engineering type people.
They can blame me, Fred. They can blame me for.
So I get into this sometimes.
Keep it in layman's terms. All right, it's my fault, guys. So leave Fred alone. When you get together for a beer, then you can use all the technical jargon you want. But for today, I need to understand, and some of the listeners beyond engineers and beyond financial investors and potential joint partners may be interested in this as well. So let's just keep it as simple as possible just for now, and let's move forward from there. Thank you, Fred.
Okay, so what we do is we use electricity to create motion. You might think of other devices you burn gasoline or diesel fuel or petrol or whatever to create motion. So they consume a fuel, if you will. Our fuel is electricity because electrical motors are inherently more efficient off the bat than thermodynamic processes. So we use a little bit of electricity to create a lot of motion. And what our whole technology is based upon is rotating masses that are, we can, as you spin a mass around a circular containment, the faster it rotates, the more G-forces are applied to the mass. Our technology has a way of that reacts under G-forces to create a force. Under multiple G-forces, when our device creates the force is used to rotate the device. So what happens is the faster the RPMs of the device, the more G-forces there are, the more reaction there is, the more force there is in helping the device operate. So to maintain the same RPMs, you would need to reduce the external energy going into the device from the battery. So what happens is it uses, when it's at RPM, it's using a little bit of electricity from the battery. It's using a lot of reactionary G-force from the device operating, and it's turning from the outside to the center of our device, which gives it a mechanical advantage. And there is torque on a shaft. And the torque on the shaft can be used to generate electricity. It can be used to turn a wheel. It can be used for whatever you want it to be used for. And that's the basic essence of our technology. Use the ability to capture and use G-forces in a manner that has never been done before.
Please, I want you, if you're listening to this show, to help Fred, help his company to spread the word about this technology, because this is really, at the end of the day, so much more than some clever invention. This is something that can change lives, can improve lives, can save lives, can improve the quality of life. So with that said, Fred, if there are any listeners out there, albeit engineers or manufacturing companies, financial partners, potential joint ventures, or even laymen just like myself, or lay women, let's be politically correct, who want to find out more, want to understand, or possibly want to invest, or just to find out how could they invest, what is the best way for them to get hold of you, Fred?
I would say initially it would be to go to our website and send us an email and tell us who they are and what their interest is, and then we can take the conversation from there.
Okay, are there any other online properties, platforms where they can get to know you on a personal basis?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, of course, as well. There's information about me personally on there, and there's a link from our website to my LinkedIn profile.
Okay, so what would they type in to LinkedIn? If they went to LinkedIn, what would they search for?
SC Wall.
And that would bring up your profile.
Well, yeah, it might bring up 1,000 profiles on the same thing, but
okay.
I'm the one that's in Connecticut, USA.
Okay, great. I will ensure that your LinkedIn and your website details go alongside the show notes to this interview so that people will find it very easy to get hold of you. So, come to the end of the show, Fred. I just really want to thank you once again for taking the time out to talk to us about something which is different. You know, it's not the everyday topic that we hear about, that we read about, unless it's something that you're specifically interested in. So I really want to thank you for coming out here. We're going to do our best to help you get the word out in front of the right people at the right time. So before we say goodbye, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the listeners out there?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with someone. I hope you're listening today, and boy, things are going to be great. Once we can get started, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic about the future, and I'm so excited to hope that today is a day that I am able to meet the person listening to this show, or someone who refers someone from the show, to make a positive impact out there, and it's going to be good.
You said the word positive impact. That's what it's all about. If you're not making a positive impact on the world, on your immediate environment, then what's the point? So, with that said, it's time to say goodbye. And as usual, I'll leave you with my final thoughts. Perfection is not when there's nothing left to add. It's when there's nothing left to take away. So on that note, thank you very much, Fred. That was Fred Ball from Independent Energy LLC. Look him up. You will be in good hands, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. This was Stuart Andrew Alexander, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.